What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. We do this show twice a week, it seems like. Uh, Wednesday, I think, is the new day that's been kind of consistent, and Friday every week for as long as I can remember. And I even started doing a little bit something on Saturday, System Saturday. So branching out, maybe we'll get to 5 days a week or even more than 5 days a week soon. But we have a little bit of Super Bowl to continue to talk about. We do have a lot of games on the NBA slate for today. So I figured let's talk about NFL first and then NBA. But before we get to that, how are you doing today, Rob?
I'm good, buddy. I am good. It's a huge week, obviously. A lot of action in college basketball, NBA, as it glides toward the trade deadline. Ski, we'll get into that a little bit here, the pitfalls of trying to bet these games with the trade deadline looming. And Super Bowl, I have to honestly say that I'm still not totally through the 56 or 58 pages worth of props, whatever it is that I have here. I mean, the list of props is nuts. And if you really want to dive into them, it just takes time. But I've trickled out a few each day. I bet a few each day. So we can get into a little bit of that because this game is building up right now. They're practicing out there and things are starting to heat up.
Yeah, so looking at the odds right now, it did open as a pick 'em. It's been going back and forth. We see Philly as -1.5. Total is still at 51. I know we've talked about that quite enough, so maybe we'll go to the props. And I heard you mention one on Wager Talk. Um, let's let the people know how you feeling about it.
Yeah, I went to the Kansas City side, Ski, and I'm not somebody who plays a side in the game and then only plays props involving that side. I'll play both sides of the game. Doesn't matter to me. If I think I see an advantage, I'll play an advantage. And I think that there's one on the Kansas City side with Jerick McKinnon, their running back, over 2.5 receptions. And the price is not, it's just a normal 110. No juice to lay with this, right? So I'm going to go at it this way. Most of the teams that we've seen play Kansas City, and the Bengals started this last year, they like to just play kind of passive and make Patrick Mahomes slowly move the ball down the field, right? They don't want to get beat over the top. They make him kind of earn it. But Philly's not that kind of defense. Philly, as we all know by now, is aggressive. They attack with a pass rush. They man up on the corners. It's a little bit different. Jerick McKinnon here, to me, is going to be the recipient of a lot of more quick throws because of the pressure that Philadelphia can apply. And Andy Reid is a absolute master of the screen game. Like if you pressure Andy Reid, what they're going to do is they're going to make you throw. They're going to throw the ball sideways, horizontal, try and spread you out and do it quickly and find open space. That's good news for those quick wide receiver screens for the backs out of the backfield. It's good for a lot of that stuff. Why it's good for Jerick McKinnon is because the Chiefs' offensive staff believes he's the best pass protector of all their running backs. And it's why during the course of the year, he got on the field 551 times, and his counterpart, Isaiah Pacheco, the running portion of the backfield, only got on the field 360, almost a 200 snap difference between McKinnon and Pacheco. You spread it out over 19 games, and it doesn't look like much. And when you do it percentage-wise overall, it's kind of a 50-50 split. But McKinnon's liable to be on the field a lot more here because of his ability to pass protect, which, of course, opens up more opportunities for us. So I think for that's one good reason. I think that the fact that he's number 9 in the entire league in receptions by running backs has to lead you toward Jerick McKinnon here to catch the ball. It's what the Chiefs do with him. If I go straight to mathematics, Ski, the line on Patrick Mahomes' passing attempts is 39.5. If we use that number, and I went back and looked at every single game this year where Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 39, 40 times or over 40 times. It happened 8 games. 6 of those 8 games, Jerick McKinnon got over 2.5 receptions, and it just stands to reason. If you're going to throw the ball 40 times, that's a ton of opportunity for a lot of receivers, right? Kelsey aside, everybody else is still going to get their chances. The two games he didn't, one was last week. The last game, the AFC Championship. Mahomes threw it 43 times. But remember, he was on a bum ankle, and Pacheco was in the game for a lot more snaps than McKinnon was because they kind of changed their offense, right? They were running the ball more because Mahomes wasn't doing too well on that ankle. He turned out to throw the ball well, but they changed their game plan a little bit. And Pacheco was the guy on the field. I don't think that's the case here against the Philly pass rush. I think they go back to norm. I would say that because Philadelphia is probably going to pay extra attention to Travis Kelce, that also leaves opportunity for McKinnon against a linebacking core that's not that great covering the pass. So there's a bunch of reasons, at least 5 reasons right there, that when I started adding them up, I thought, 2.5 is a small number. If by chance, if Kansas City's behind in the fourth quarter, even if they're only behind by a touchdown and they have to abandon the run because they're catching up, that also presents more opportunity for McKinnon to catch dump off passes, stuff like that. We see it all the time in garbage time, right? Where these short passes dink and dunk down the field when you're trying to catch up. So I'm going to play it that way, Ski. They didn't ask me again to lay a lot of money with this. 110 regular juice on over 2.5 receptions. Let's go get 3 catches out of Jerick McKinnon. It's happened a bunch this season, and I think it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I like that play, and I probably even like his over 20.5 receiving yards as well. I know he did. He had at least 30 receiving yards, 4 of the last 5 regular season games. And my thought process is more like the Eagles. They're going to put pressure. They're going to get after the quarterback. And Mahomes is banged up. He's hurt. You don't want him getting any more banged up. So what are they going to do? They're going to dump it right off to McKinnon. They use him, I think, more in that role than Pacheco. I think they use Pacheco more on the ground. So I like what you said, the over 2.5 receptions, but I also like over his 20.5 receiving yards. I think that's a really solid play. Let me ask you about Jalen Hurts. He's a little bit banged up too, right? And I feel like the Chiefs struggle a little bit versus mobile quarterbacks. So his rushing attempts are at 10.5. Do you think it's going to be a game where he's, scrambling, a big scramble game for Jalen Hurts, or you think he's doing a majority of the work with his arm?
I can't even believe you brought that up because I was talking to a guy this morning who asked me about that same prop. He wanted to bet it, but his question was, if you scramble and get sacked, does it count as a rushing attempt? And it does in college football, but it doesn't in pro football. In pro football, they take sack yardage out of the passing stats. In college, they take it out of the rushing stats. So in college, his thought was, this guy might be under some heat. And if I take into account the times that he will, on a broken play scramble, plus on a designed run, he will run the football. And then on plays where he's sacked, if they all count as rushes, I want to be over 10.5. But you have to take those sacks out of there. They're not going to count as rushing attempts. They're going to count as passing attempts. So it's difficult. It's a high number. I do think, Ski, to your point, Kansas City hasn't faced a guy like this. And it's real hard to simulate in practice. You can do all you want and try and understand the RPO and the stick it in a guy's belly and pull it out and what your assignments are. But until you see it live, we saw the San Francisco linebackers last game, Greenlaw and got Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, 2 of the best in the business, but they were confused. Time and time again, confused. What's he doing? Is he handing off? Is he pulling it out? Is he throwing it behind us to the tight end? What's he doing? And when you don't see that and you can't simulate it, I think it makes it tough for all defenses here. I would think Jalen Hurts has a package where he runs it a little bit, but to me, 10.5 just seems a little bit too high. I'd probably stay under. I didn't play it, just my personal opinion. I don't think he'll get to 11 rushing attempts here. Last thing I'll say on that is I hear an awful lot of chatter and you read a lot of things about, well, Philly has to run the ball. They're great at running the ball. They're going to run the ball. They need to control the clock. Otherwise, they can't win. Listen, they ran the ball 44 times against the Giants and 44 times against the Niners last week, but in totally different situations where they were way ahead. And they knew the opponent had no ability to catch up to them, right? The Giants weren't going to catch them with that offense. And San Francisco, with a broken down quarterback situation, wasn't going to catch them. But this is the Chiefs. If you're up by 17 in the fourth, you're still scared. Remember, just a couple Super Bowls ago, San Francisco was beating the Chiefs like 21-10 in the fourth quarter and lost. KC scored 21 points in 6 minutes and won the Super Bowl. So I don't know that 44 rushing attempts is going to happen. If you lessen that number, that's less chance for Hurts. I'd probably be on under if I were to play it, but I didn't.
All right, good stuff there. Really quick, Zane says, let's hit the like button one time for the one time. Appreciate you, Zane. And Tasha says, sober Wednesday, Ski. Yeah, I gotta take it easy. It's still business time right now. Maybe later in the week. We never know, but not right now. Not yet. Akbar says, Rob, don't be shy. Let the Philly fandom come out. Rob lets us know, he's not too biased. I think we did a good job for NFL. I want to get to a little bit of the NBA games for today. We have a hell of a lot and not that much time for today. So if you guys have questions on the game or just, a game you want to hear about, we can see the comments in YouTube. I know we're live on Twitter as well, but we can see these ones on YouTube and let us know. We'll do our best to get to that game. Now, with that said, first game I will touch, we'll go Detroit and Cleveland. This game, it opened Cleveland minus 12. You now see them as 11 or 11.5 point favorite. Total open 223 is down to 222 or 221.5. I did see the injury report that Garland and Mitchell have been downgraded to questionable. Let me just double check for the other side. For the Pistons, it's just Bagley out, I believe. So I did make a play on this game before, the news for the Cavaliers as far as both of their guards being questionable here. And I chose to go Detroit team total under. And it was a combination of the pace both of these teams play at, but just Detroit's offense has been, pitiful. Their second worst offensive rated team in the last 5 games, going up against Cleveland, who's the best defensive rated team. I know the last 2 weeks they're allowing less than or just barely over 102 points per game. They played this team twice already this season. Detroit didn't touch 100 points either time. They had 94. They had 88. So it's a team that they've had success versus. They're already really great defensively. I like that. And I had a couple systems that lined up for the full game under. I just thought that I think Cleveland can score. They are a top 5 offensive rated team in the last 5 games. But if you're telling me that you're going to miss one or maybe both of their starting guards, I probably like the full game under now too, So Detroit team total under, full game under. Those are the ways I look to play this game. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I would, listen to you because I didn't have a play on this game. But I will say this, I'll add where full game under is concerned. Detroit is 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Cleveland is 7-2 to the under their last 9. If you combine those, that's 15-4 under the total last 19 games combined. So recent history would tell you that these two teams have been playing unders. Again, if your starting backcourt is going to be Karis LeVert and Ricky Rubio, it downgrades the offense of Garland and Mitchell, obviously. And I don't know that it hurts you defensively, Ski, to tell you the truth. Rubio probably a better defensive guard than he is offensive threat, even though I saw him draining some threes the other night. And Karis LeVert as good as Mitchell, or, Mitchell's not known for defense, right? So I could understand where you're coming from there. And I think maybe full game under might be a pretty good side. I'll say one more thing about Cleveland real quick. The other day, they won and Brooklyn lost, and Cleveland ducked into that number 4 spot in the Eastern Conference, which I know the Cavaliers want. They want to have a home series in the playoffs, and it's a chance for them now that they're a game ahead of Brooklyn, the 4-5 slots for the playoff seeding. I know that it's an opportunity for Cleveland to stack some wins while Brooklyn's trying to figure things out, and they could put some separation between themselves and Brooklyn here, which I think there's motivation on Cleveland's end. We always talk about their interior D, so I kind of like where you're headed with that. I hadn't thought about it much until just now. That's why we talk these things out.
Absolutely. So I'm very, very likely. I'm pretty sure as soon as I get off of here, as long as I have enough time before the next show, I'm going to go ahead and add that full game under. We have a couple guys asking about Rick White says thoughts on 76ers total. Saturated also says he wants to hear about Philly and Boston, please. So let's go over to that game. And this one opened Boston minus 4.5. Still sitting at 4.5. Total open 228. And we've seen a lot of movement on this one. It's all the way down to 224.5, loan 225 at DraftKings. And as far as the injury report is concerned for this game, let's hit the refresh button. I know Embiid was game time decision per usual for the Celtics. It looks like they'll still be without Marcus Smart, no Gallinari, but we do have Robert Williams game time, Al Horford game time. They're missing one of those guys against Embiid. It could be a disaster versus Sixers. I think about this one. I just I'm not. I need Boston to. They have too many guys. Jay mentioned this too. They have too many guys in and out of the lineup, and I think that's a reason why they're not covering as many games lately. So for that reason, and as good as the Sixers have been playing, I don't know why you want to go against that. Sixers also have the rest advantage. I'll go with the healthier team with the rest that I feel is playing better basketball right now, and to me, that's the Sixers. How do you feel about this game, Rob?
You're going to remember the first thing I thought about this morning when I saw this game, or last night when I looked at the overnights. And the first thing I thought about, Ski, I went right back to the preseason previews. Me, you, and JJ together. And man, we were fighting each other to get to the front of the line to bet the Sixers. Sixers. And that first game happened, and Boston chose, Joe Mazzulla, the new head coach, was brand new at the time. Chose to change the style, and we're going to run at Philadelphia. And they ran all the way to what was a 126-117 win. And, we didn't cash, Ski. We thought we were all over a good side there. And that was at a point in time where I know you had first gone and played Boston season win total under. I followed you and played Boston under season win total. We really thought we had something there. And Boston just has changed gears here. It's scary to me. It was either Rick White or whoever in the comments saturated that wanted to know about the total. My first inclination is to play over, because I think Boston found success running at Philadelphia, and I don't think there's any reason to stop now. And if Robert Williams and Al Horford aren't in the lineup, then what's to stop this game from being extremely fast-paced on the Boston end? And to Philadelphia's credit, when I went through that first game box score, Ski, here's what I found. Harden was terrific, 35 points. Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum were terrific, 35 points each for them. So three guys that had 35, three of the stars. And Joel had 26 and 15 in that game. But Philly's bench was non-existent, 11 points. Since that time, though, for Philadelphia, George Niang has stepped up and been a real serious three-point shooting threat for the Sixers. He's found his role, and DeAnthony Melton has found his space on this team. And shooting threes as well. And they're as efficient offensively as any team in this league. So I don't know that I agree. I know why the number's coming down, because the injury list is what it is. But I don't know that those injuries affect this game going under. To tell you the truth, I think I have more of an effect on the game going over. Joel's going to play. It gets ridiculous seeing him on the injury list every single day. These guys crack me up. They're on there for whatever reason. But I'm sure he plays there. I'm sure Philly would like a little revenge. And Philadelphia, I think, Ski, let me check here real quick. They're 3 games out of that number 1 seed behind Boston. So anytime you get a shot to chip away at that, it's going to be important. I probably lean more towards over than anything in this game, because I don't think Boston's as good. I don't want to say they're not as good defensively, but because of the tempo they play, they give up more points nowadays. And if they don't have Williams and Horford, big question. Even if they do, I still think I like over 224.5. First game hit 243. I don't think Boston changes their game plan any. And I think Philly's willing to try and outscore them. I won't say it's Glenn Rivers coaching this team after all, so I don't know that he can make the proper adjustments.
All right, there you go. You got it right there. I didn't have to correct you on that one. We call him by his actual name, Glenn. Mama named him Glenn. We call him Glenn. Sean Dozier, he wants to hear about Wolves and Jazz. See if we can get to that one a little bit here. Excuse me there. Wolves and Jazz. Okay, this game opened Jazz -3.5, all the way up to 5.5 point favorites. Total open 236.5, and we're staring at 236.5 or 236. Injury report. Obviously, Timberwolves are going to be without Karl Anthony Towns, still without baby Glenn Rivers, and Kyle Anderson is going to be game time decision here tonight. For Utah, looks like Vanderbilt is apartment hunting and Potter is out. So I feel a way about this game. I'll just, I don't want to lay points with the Jazz. They haven't been good as a favorite. More specifically, it hasn't been good as a short favorite. Favorite of less than or 5 or less. They're 3-12 against the spread. And if their opponent is on a back-to-back, they're 0-4 against the spread. So all that says to fade the Jazz there. And for the Timberwolves, they've been the team playing the better defense lately. I don't think, they put too much effort into that game that they played yesterday. They got blown off the face of the court, lost by 30 points. So I want to think, they come and respond back in this one. I think they still have energy. Going into Utah, though, and this is just a thought that I just had right now, the altitude, that could affect them. We'll see. But the system I have for the Wolves side was pretty much betting on short road dogs in a conference game when they're on a back-to-back after they lost on the road. And if you're doing this, not to start the year, but after game 20, they're about 66% against the spread. So that tells me to take the Wolves. I'm not 100% sure why the spread is going up towards Utah. Maybe somebody is going to sit here for Minnesota. Maybe, it could be Gobert. It could be Russell Edwards. I wouldn't be surprised if Russell or Gobert sat, honestly. So I'm waiting for the injury report, but I do lean towards the Wolves. How do you feel, Rob?
Well, I'll read your Rudy Gobert stat line from last night. 18 minutes, 49 seconds, 0 for 2 from the field, 0 points, 0 assists, 5 rebounds. A lot of these guys, the starters, got yanked early because it was such a blowout. I mean, when you look up and down the list, the 5 guys who started, including the starting guard tandem, Edwards and Russell, they only played 20 and 19 minutes respectively, or 20 and 20, I guess you would round it off to. So they're going to be rested. My first thought was off of that blowout last night, I want to play the T-Wolves plus the points. But then I remembered that Utah was destroyed by that, basically duct tape and paperclip Dallas Mavericks team the other night. They were destroyed by the 2 kids, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, right? 124, 111. Quote from their head coach, Will Hardy. This is the first game all season where I felt disappointed in our focus. There are always nights where bounces don't go your way, but I felt collectively we did not have the necessary focus on the little things. That's why we lost the game. So to me, that is a little bit of a play on for Utah, a little bounce back there. So I've got 2 teams that I'd like to be on because I feel like they were embarrassed in their previous game. And when that happens, it's just too much contradiction for me. I don't know that Gobert will play. Like you say, he sits on that injury list almost every day, and in back-to-backs, maybe he doesn't go here, even though he played short minutes last night, but he was unproductive. I don't know, Ski. My next look was to say, let me try total, but I think to your point, we both talked about this a lot. Minnesota's played better defense, and they played a heck of a lot of unders over the course of their last dozen games. So I'm at a loss here. Didn't play it. Wanted to, but I think if these 2 teams were playing other opponents, I might have been on both of them, but I'm not on neither here.
All right, fair enough. We have to keep moving. We are pressed for time. We have a lot of comments, a lot of games we haven't gotten to, and won't be able to get to all of them. So we have 2 comments here. Saturated says, can we go back to Şengün assist? And Donahue also wants to talk about the Kings and Rockets. So we'll get to this game. We'll see if we have time for another one. I know people are asking for Indy, Miami, and also the Clippers game. A couple other prop questions in the chat. So we'll try, but we are running low on time. Sacramento and Houston, it opened -7 for the Kings. 9-point favorite now at most shops. Total open 241, and it's down to 239 or 239.5. As far as the injury report for both of these teams, Sacramento is clean. For Houston, it looks like KPJ is out, and Matthews is going to be game time decision. So I'll try to be really short and sweet here. I don't care that Coach Silas is over there crying for his team to, begging for his team to play any kind of defense. I just don't think they're going to do it. They've lost the past couple games by 20 points, 30 points. And you're going up against a Sacramento team who It's the opposite. They just won by double digits. So I see teams going in opposite directions here. And when the Rockets lose, it's usually by margin anyway. So I want to fade them. Uh, Screw that. You can cry all he want. I'm fading those Rockets. And on the Kings side, we talk about we don't really like to lay points with them, but they've kind of proven themselves now. They're not bottom feeders anymore. 8-4 is a road favorite versus lesser competition. Let me just read this. This is pretty telling. They're not those bottom feeders anymore. This season versus less than 45% win teams, when they're equally rested and neither team is on the back to back, they are 12-0 straight up, 12-0 against the spread, winning by an average of 14.3 points per game. It's a new Kings team, and we know what the Rockets are. So give me the Kings minus the 9 points. I think they smack them up by double digits. They played them 3 times this year. They've whooped their ass by 20 every single time. I don't see why they don't do it again tonight. What do you think, Rob?
Wouldn't disagree. De'Aaron Fox hopped back in the lineup the other day. Immediately, they go from 104 points 2 games prior to 140. And Davion Mitchell, just not the same point guard as far as offense is concerned. De'Aaron Fox also, carrying the chip on his shoulder from being snubbed from the All-Star game. I guess he'll probably get in because Steph is going to be out. But, if Fox playing with that, and even Malik Monk had something to say about it. So it's in the minds of all the players on that team. And when these guys have something to prove, they prove it. The 3 games you talked about, Ski, that they played each other, you talked about how badly Sacramento is beating them. I'll talk about how far over the total it's gone. 3 games played by these two this year, 260, 253, and 250. Looking at 239 tonight. Again, I'm with you. Stephen Silas didn't preach any defense when he entered Houston, and they don't play any defense a year and a half later. They're not going to start tonight. So unless there's a batch of missed shots, but I know there'll be plenty of opportunities with shots, and I would rather take my chances there. So if you're not on Sacramento, you probably want to be on the total in some way, shape, or form.
I'm with you on that. And I know you have a stronger opinion than me on Indiana and Miami. Maybe you could share that with the people. Somebody asked about that game.
Yeah, I'm going to be on over here, Ski. I'm always lured in by Miami because that's the one team that the odds makers always, kind of price low where totals are concerned. Rightfully so, right? Miami plays slower. They play a little more defense than most. Spoelstra has a different style than most. But I think I shade more towards the Indiana side here and Indiana's ability to speed teams up, Indiana's ability to allow teams to score points. And whenever you get into that type of flow, it generally speaks to a lot of scoring here. And Miami does have scores, right? Bam Adebayo's been going crazy. You still have a backcourt with Hero and Vincent, all these 3-point shooters. And then there's Jimmy Butler. With Halliburton back, we know it's a much better offense for the Indiana Pacers. Miles Turner has played better as of late. For the Pacers, the last 3 games, the one that stops you here is the last 4 games they haven't scored better than 111. I think they would have to get to 110 tonight to get this thing over 223 and a half. Maybe they have to get to about 108. I'll lower my standard there. Pacers have to get to 108. I don't know that it's a problem, though. I think with Halliburton in the lineup here, it probably does get there. I think Miami has no problem scoring. So I'm probably trying to take advantage of a number more than I am fundamentals in this case, Ski. I think the odds maker sets it low. I think bettors play it under because it's Miami. They play it because of name. But I'm going to play the other name and the brand of basketball that Indiana plays. And to me, that always speaks to the over. I'm looking at 223, which, God, as we head closer to the All-Star break, I've always had a theory real quick, and I know you're going to have to run to another show. I've always had a theory that as we get closer to All-Star break, a lot of guys start caring a little bit less. They want to get to that break. I'm not involved in the All-Star festivities. Let's just go. And games start getting higher scoring. And we're starting to see that the last few days. Everything seems to be really high scoring. This one doesn't have to be extremely high scoring. Just has to get me to 224. I think I'll try it out over 223 and a half.
Good stuff there. And, I'm going to do my best. I'm trying. I like you guys. I like doing this. I like talking to Rob. I'm gonna hang around and try to keep sharing and answering questions until they give me a buzz. Tell me I gotta go. So people asked about Kyrie under 5.5 assists. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of chemistry with his teammates yet, right? I think he'll probably focus more on scoring than anything. I mean, that's his game. He'll ISO and break you down and score on you. I know Josh Green's been playing really good lately. I know you can play some defense, but he's been scoring a little bit too. I might also look towards his props. But how do you feel about that Kyrie under 5.5 assists? And also, what do you think about the Mavs versus the Clippers tonight? Kyrie's first game as a Maverick.
I'm not sure what to think about Kyrie's assist total. I'm really not, but I am kind of sure of this. I read a couple of things from Dallas, and we may see a change in pace here, Ski, and it's because Luka's out. But Jaden Hardy and Josh Green the other night. Hey, listen, McKinley Wright the fourth ran point the other night, and they scored 120 plus points against Utah. The Clippers' defense is not Utah's defense, but the point here being that Dallas is talking about speeding up. Jason Kidd was quoted as saying that Jaden Hardy just plays at a speed that you don't commonly see in NBA basketball. And with all the youth that's on the floor and with Kyrie loving pace and not much defense, I think that this game might be headed the wrong way total wise. Again, it's kind of being proactive because you're guessing that Dallas is going to want to go. I'll tell you one thing, there's not a defensive player on the floor for Dallas. And the Clippers should absolutely have their way offensively here. So again, you're looking at a really low number, 220.5. And if Dallas does come out like they did against Utah and decide, let's let the kids run while Luka's still on the bench, you probably get yourself to an over here. The Clippers, surprisingly enough, Ski, I wish I had this off the top of my head here, but I know it's somewhere. The Clippers have been, they're fourth in the NBA in first quarter totals over. Amazingly, they play really high scoring first quarters, and maybe it's because they're priced so low, but I'm going to be on over full game here. Again, trying to be proactive with what I've read out of Dallas.
Yeah, I was, when they got the addition, I already was thinking about overs. Only reason I changed my mind today is because flat spot for Clippers first game back after the long road trip, and also no Luka, so gave me a little bit of hesitation. And I know the Clippers are 19-5 to the under at home. They're buzzing me over there. It's about that time. I wanted to ask really quick though. I have to ask because I know you're the over guy. Golden State and Portland, home road splits combined 36 and 15 to the over. Last 2 weeks, in general, they're combined 10 and 4 to the over. Without Steph, the Warriors are 31, 19 and 2 to the over. How does this game stay under tonight? Or do you like the over?
I do like the over, Ski. I couldn't have said it any better. Clay, 42 points the other night. I think it's going to be a little bit of a bouncing ball back and forth. It'll be his turn. It'll be Jordan Poole's turn. It'll be his turn. It'll be Jordan Poole's turn. But between the two of them, they're going to light it up from three in Steph's absence. And obviously, Lillard and company don't play any defense. Talk about a coach begging his team to play defense and they don't respond. That's Chauncey Billups. I'm with you all the way. I won't get long-winded about it, but I do think that game gets over the number here. It just seems too low price. Should have been in the 240s if you ask me, and it's not.
There we go. Love it, love it, love it. Good stuff here today, Rob. It was a short, quick show. We tried to get through as much as we can. Is there anything you would like to promote and a play we talked about today that you maybe like more than the others?
I'll quickly promote wagertalk.com. If you're currently not a member, just go over to the website, wagertalk.com, drop in your email site, get free access to all the media content provided each and every day over there. You also get the opportunity to join in on selection packages if you so choose. My Super Bowl plays are up, or some of my Super Bowl plays, they're still coming, but one of my top plays, 5% blue chip, up and available right now, wagertalk.com. So you can get all my selections up and over there at wagertalk.com. Real quick for plays tonight, Ski. I'm going to go back to what we talked about last. Again, it's proactive. It's a little bit of guesswork, but I really think they've underpriced the Clipper Dallas total here at 220.5. Even if Dallas doesn't shoot lights out from three like they did against Utah, I think their defense is liable to give up 125 to 130 against the Clippers here tonight because there just is no defense. So either way, I think I'm in a good spot here playing over this low number, 220.5.
Good stuff right there. I have to also, say go check out wagertalk.com. I have my stuff up and available there all the time, and we do a lot of shows. I'll be on the NBA tip-off show later today, also, talking about the games in further detail. So make sure you guys go check that out. And for my best bet, I will go to the Sacramento game. And I'm honest, I'll tell you, I got -8, but even at -9, I would still take the Kings. I just think that they own this Rockets team so far this year. They've smacked them up all 3 times. And I think they make it a 4th time tonight. So Kings -9 will be the best bet for the purpose of the show. If you enjoyed the show, do us a favor and hit the like button. Also, hit the subscribe. Once I get to 1,000, like I said in the last show, I'll start bringing you guys some more live shows on YouTube, like maybe live plays or stuff like that. It's just I have to have a certain subscriber amount to be able to give it to you. So if you enjoy what you're listening to, make sure to let us know. Appreciate you guys again. Rob, I appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk with me through the games. We'll both be back on Friday, and we'll catch you guys then.